Jessica, you were covered in blood head to toe for a lot of the film. Apparently you had some part to play in just how much blood you had on you.
Yeah, well, I think, because Andy and I have worked together before and we're very good friends, we're like family, in some sense he had written this incredible scene, but in the back of his mind too, he was like trying to protect me, so it wasn't super uncomfortable for me. And he told me, we're gonna do this scene and, don't worry, the blood it'll just get to your collarbone. And as he was describing the scene, I was like, well, it feels like it would be so much better actually if I'm submerged, and it becomes like and I love the image of Carrie, when she's covered in the blood, and we talked about it, and he looked at me and he goes, you would do that? And I said, yeah. So that's, I guess I'm my own worst enemy with that one.
You were a trooper on that, because it was one of the biggest rigs I've seen on a movie set.
Yeah.
The way that they just pumped this blood into the set very quickly, and it looked very scary.
And you had to go into cold kind of fake blood before every scene, like in your own little. What was that?
Well, what I didn't track in my mind is that everything after the scene
Damn
in question, I know, I was going to need to be covered. And I didn't even think about that. So it was like over a month, they were always coming up to me and just like pouring liquid before every take. So it was just like being covered in liquid
She
for
had a
12
little
hours.
kiddie pool that she had full of blood, so it was Jessica's kiddie pool on the side of set. And so every time they went to roll camera, Jessica had to go in and get poured.
4 buckets of blood on me. It was like, that's
And it was getting into the
was
colder months of
freezing.
Toronto as well,
Yeah.
where we shot the film.
Oh,
and,
wow. That's its own horror film right there, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like,
And Bill Hader
beautiful
would do
woman
it
in kiddie pool with blood.
with blood. Bill Hader would do an impression of me like, can we roll? Can we roll, please? Can we roll?
While you could still talk. Exactly. That's so brilliant. Now, you grew up in New Zealand, and I heard that your father gave you a bit of an early introduction into the horror genre.
He did. He'll probably hate me for telling this story, but my dad, when he had a wicked sense of humor, and on Friday nights or on the weekend when he was looking after us, we'd be watching a movie, hanging out, and he would just kind of disappear all of a sudden, and we'd just hear, and the whole house would go pitch black. TV would be off, and me and my sister would cling to each other and kind of, what's going on? Call out for Dad, try and turn the lights back on. We kind of walk through the house, Dad, what's going on? And he would come bursting out of one of the rooms on his hands and his knees, and he'd be kind of like a wild boar coming straight for us and freak us out completely. So, yeah, I kind of have to thank him for that experience and where I am today. And it became a bit of a running gag with my dad all through our childhood.
That is so great. Thank you, Dad. I feel like all these other actors are like, I wish my dad would have scared me. Maybe I'd be
I wish
an
my
id.
dad screwed me up, yeah.
Worth the therapy. In horror films, in this genre, it's often the female kind of fares a lot better than the macho man. I know that you have a history of playing these really empowered, kind of outspoken female characters. How does that kind of play to that? Is it exciting to do it in the horror genre?
Absolutely. This is the third film I've done in the genre. I was in Mama, Crimson Peak, and now It Chapter 2. And I'll tell you, a lot of people have said in some conversations I've had, especially growing up, they would talk about the horror genre and that it wasn't a serious genre for actors. But I think back of like the performances that I loved, like Mia Farrow in Rosemary's Baby, and like these incredible heroes in the genre, and a lot of them were female. Alien, Sigourney Weaver in Alien.
Yes.
I mean, as a young girl growing up, I didn't get to see women be strong and powerful in films unless it was in the horror genre. So for me, I have a very special place in my heart for this genre because of that.
Did you grow up watching horror films?
Yeah, I loved watching horror films. My mom introduced me to horror films way too early.
How old?
I was like 7 or 8 when I watched The Exorcist, and it was terrifying. But ever since then, now I love it. Like I remember, and I try when I can to go to the movie theater to see it because I love to see it with a group of people. I remember going to the theater and seeing Jennifer Kent's The Babadook, and like, wow, that's another great female character, yeah, it's something that I really enjoy.
Your parents have done a great job messing you up
I
for
know.
success, you know?
Both of our parents.
Mess up your kids, make them actors. Yeah.
It's so true. Now, what I found really amazing about this is, the first film was so beloved. It didn't come out that long ago, just in 2017. So people are very familiar with the mannerisms and the aspects of the characters. You play the older version of them. How did you do it so brilliantly? Did you meet them? Did you watch them? How did it happen?
We were lucky in that we had the first film to completely copy and steal from.
Yeah, I mean, I studied Jeremy's performance, which is so beautiful, in great detail over and over again. And there's a moment that he does in the first film when he first meets Beverly, and he blushes on cue. It's one of the hardest things for an actor to do. So I kind of took that moment precisely and sort of fit that into my performance as Ben and kept that sweetness.
That's great. You've come a long way from Neighbours.
Oh, a long way, a long time ago.
So great. It's amazing. But congratulations
Thank
to
you.
both of you. You're
Thank
just
you.
Such an incredible light on camera. So
thank you.
It's a delight to meet you both. And I can't wait for everyone to see this film and be terrified.
It's going to be epic.